Welcome back, everybody, to Testimonies with Tanner. I am your host, Tanner Martin. In the last episode, I brought on my teammate, Jerry and Pinckney, and we had a real conversation about growth, struggle, and how his faith has developed over time. Today, we are continuing that with another story. I've got Savannah Evans with me. She's from Darlington, South Carolina, plays softball here at SMC, and she's someone who has been through experiences that has really shaped who she is today. Savannah, welcome to the show. How you feeling?
Feeling pretty good, Tanner. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad you're here. And before we get into this story, what's life looking like for you right now?
It's pretty tough. We're mid-season. We're going. It's hard to find that motivation whenever you're deep into the season like this, especially with going to practice, having games, going to class, making up class. So I'm just pretty tired.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm definitely experiencing some of that. And you are also in your fourth year. So I can definitely see how this time is mentally draining more than physically, I would say. Okay, so now let's rewind a little bit. Paint the picture for us. What was life like growing up for you?
It was pretty chaotic, honestly. When I was young, my mom and dad split up, and it was kind of weird. Like, my mom never left the house because she couldn't find somewhere to live. My dad didn't want her to be on the streets, but they weren't together. So that was confusing growing up. And then got my brother. He lived in Charleston, so he was like 2 hours away from me my whole life. And I was just stuck in the middle of my mom and dad's arguments.
Right. So did that, because of those events, were you more independent because of that?
Yeah, I like to say so. I mean, my mom was like passed out from drugs, and I'm cooking pizza rolls and ramen.
Right. It's tough to hear, but, seems like it's shaped who you are today, I would say. Looking back on it now, who do you think, or what do you think had the biggest influence on who you were becoming?
I'd like to say my dad, honestly. He's such a strong force in my life, and having him to push me through that and also hold me through that. So forcing me to be a better person, but also understanding that I'm going to struggle. I think having that in my life was something that really, it was something I really needed.
Yeah, for sure. And do you think, was that something that you realized at the time or later on? Because I know while you're struggling or you're going through a hard season, it's hard to really look at the things around you.
Yeah, I definitely did not realize that in the moment.
Yeah.
Looking back, I hate the way I acted towards my dad.
Yeah.
Those teen years where you're like, man, I am such a butthole. That's exactly how I felt the entire time. And I go back and I look on it now and I'm like, why would I do that?
Yeah. No, I'm the same way. I was pretty I don't want to, I was kind of mean to my mom, but I kind of just realized as I was growing up, I was just kind of stuck in my own ways. As teenagers, we want to do what we want to do. We don't want to be told what to do. I can relate to that a little bit. When you think about your younger self, where did faith fit into your life at that time?
So faith was never a big thing. In my family, my dad wasn't really religious because he didn't believe that we went to a Southern Baptist church, and he didn't like one thing a pastor said, and he never went back. And my mom, she was very astray. She didn't really have any religion in her life either, and they didn't really try to direct their kids that way either.
So, what would you say that you're relying on? Was there something that you did to help get your mind off things? What was getting you through this?
My brother was such a big factor when we actually lived together, because he would just take my mind away. We would go hang out with our friends, and it was just a little sanctuary for a bit, and then you'd have to go back home.
I bet you miss those moments.
I do. I really miss growing up with my brother.
Yeah, those are fun times. Did you ever feel like something was missing?
Yeah, my whole life, I did. I felt like, I was a burden. I felt like if I never came along, something would be different. And I felt like I always told myself that if my parents got back together, my life would be great. But that was not the case.
So everybody has moments that shape them. Was there a season in your life that really tested you?
For sure. When I was in high school, my brother got arrested, in front of my face. I was in the room and the cops came in and took him out. And that was, seeing your sibling get put into a cop car is pretty traumatizing. And my mom's out the house completely at this point, so it's just me and my dad. My brother leaving was really, really hard on me. And me not being able to speak to him at all for like a few years was really, really hard on me. But yeah, that was definitely probably the hardest season of my life.
That's heavy, you know. How did you process that during that time? How old were you?
Like 13 probably.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was struggling.
Yeah.
It was hard.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember the day it happened, I walked inside and I heard my dad praying for the first time ever.
Oh, wow.
And he was asking, God, if you're real, why do you continuously put my daughter through so much? And I remember it was a Tuesday night, and Wednesday night there was youth group. And I felt like this calling, like to go to youth. I had never been before, so I went, and that's when a lot of things changed for me.
That's awesome. So you'd say that youth group was the time, like kind of the turning point, was it?
Yeah.
So like that helped you get through that. And did you feel peace right away, or was it still like confusing for you?
It was confusing for sure, but that night I sat in that youth room for like 3 hours after youth had ended and talked to the pastor. And he gave me so much clarity like on my life. And I think in that room is one of the first moments I ever felt genuine peace.
That's awesome. Did you remember any like exact conversations you had, like any questions you had?
Yeah, I was just like kind of sitting down telling him my testimony like I'm doing you. And he looked at me, and this is the first time I'd ever been told it wasn't my fault. And that even though it's like hard stuff I had been through, God did have a plan, and he knew that my voice would reach people, my story would reach people.
Yeah, for sure. And that's awesome that you said that, because here we are, you know?
Yeah.
And was that like that? I'm guessing that time that you sat and spoke with him and told all these things, your story, was that, I guess that was like a big relief moment that he said, like, this is not your fault.
Oh, yeah, because, I mean, I blamed myself for so much. I mean, like my mom being a drug addict, my parents splitting up, my brother having to move out. I blame myself for all of it.
Mm.
And I guess having someone who was an adult who didn't have to tell me that it wasn't my fault was very, very meaningful for me.
Yeah. So whenever you went and sat to this pastor and you went to youth group, during that time, did your relationship with God grow right away, or was it more of a process?
It was definitely a process, trying to like figure everything out. And I will say, like, when I finally started devoting my life to him was probably about like 6 months in. And I had noticed I was so much happier already. And I was like, you know what, let's just buy in fully. I did. They really do say like joy only comes from God. That is some of the most genuine, like pure joy I'd ever felt.
Right. That's awesome. What did that process look like for you, buying in?
You know, as a high schooler, you have all your friends around you trying to throw you into temptation, trying to get you to do things, and also telling you like, hey, God's not cool, man. Like, at least in my high school, I was like, I'm going to youth tonight, and they're like, what a weirdo.
Yeah.
So I think having to like really tune out what my classmates and my friends were saying, or them saying that I've changed, and just not caring that I was, like I'm such a big people pleaser. So hearing them say that, I was like, okay, maybe I should skip youth this night, or maybe I shouldn't read my Bible tonight and I should go to the skating rink. But I just really had to turn that side of me off and focus that like, it doesn't matter their opinion, it's just God's. So I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing.
That's awesome to hear. Was there like a moment when you realized something had changed?
Yeah, I think so. I was probably about going to church for like right at a year at this point. And we went to a mission trip. And in this mission trip, we did a concert of prayer, which I don't know if you know what that is. It's like all these people gather in a dark room, and there's like prompts on this screen that come up. And the prompt that came up was, I need to forgive blank. And you're supposed to stand up and like say it. And I remember like that people pleasing coming over me. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, no, I do not want to embarrass.
Gosh.
Like, everyone's going to know who's saying it. Like, this is so embarrassing. But I just stood up and I was like, I need to forgive my mom. And I remember like in that moment, I guess admitting it to God, like I was just so overcome with my emotion, and just, I didn't feel sad. I just felt like free. Like that weight had finally been dropped after so long. And I think that's like probably the biggest turning point. And that's like when I was like, okay, yeah, God, you're real. I'm here for you. Let's do this.
Awesome. I know, like, other than being around like people and them hearing what you're about to say was hard, but like, was actually forgiving your mother, like, was that hard for you?
Absolutely. And I mean, it's still a process. Like, she still adds stuff to the list that I need to forgive. And me and God, we work on it together.
Yeah.
But especially forgiving her at that time. Like, I think like a few weeks prior, she had just called me and like told me I was the reason she got addicted.
Wow.
Yeah. And I mean, it was really hard to just get over that.
I can imagine. I can definitely imagine that. So coming here to SMC, we all have different seasons in our faith. Like, some people aren't as far along with their journey with God as others. So since being here at SMC, how has your perspective on life or faith changed?
I feel like I have grown so much as a Christian at SMC, and shout out Kelsey Pack. She did a great job at that. She really helped like shift my mindset, and because you come here as an athlete. Like, I came here for softball, you came here for baseball, and it is so hard not to let that define you. Especially at like, you're at a new school, nobody knows you can really ball like that.
Yeah.
They're just like, who's this scrub? And I mean, I was sitting the bench a lot at the time, and it was just like really taking a toll on me. And going to FCA, and me and Kelsey Pack started meeting weekly. She really just helped show me that my identity is not like here. Like, God might have used softball as the vessel to get me here, but it's not what I'm meant to do while I am here.
Yeah, that's awesome. I can definitely relate to that. I have teammates that have helped me in my faith journey here. Also, I spoke about it in my podcast. I said that I was so wrapped up in what I was doing, and like, I made that who I was. My identity was baseball, and not getting the success out of baseball was like one of the hardest things for me. Because that's something you grow up doing, that's the dream, that you want to be great at what you do. Since I have gotten closer to God, I've realized, and he has also taught me, like, everything here, what you're doing is not who you are. He doesn't care about how many doubles or home runs you hit or how many people you throw out. He don't care about that kind of stuff. He just cares about like what's in your heart,
Yeah.
ultimately. So what's something about you now that is different from who you were back then?
I think I'm like definitely happier. I used to be the grumpiest little person. I mean, it was bad, but I think like you can't wipe the smile off my face half the time now. I'm just really am overcome with joy. And another thing, I'm a lot less selfish, especially after this past year of my life. I feel like I was so focused on like me and what I got to do to get some PT and what I got to do to get to the top. It was just I.
Me.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then I don't know, like this like switch flipped in my brain one day. I was just sitting there. I think I was like at my aunt's house, sitting on the back porch, just watching the wilderness. And I was just like, you know what? Softball does not matter at all. It's like, it's just fun. God gave me it to have fun. And I was not treating it like the gift that it was.
Right. So, like, what would you say that God has shown you about your worth?
Lord, he has shown me a lot. I genuinely used to be the most like self-conscious, insecure, like so many feelings of like unworthiness going throughout me. Kelsey back again, I remember I told her that, and she immediately was like, no. And she opened her Bible and was just flipping through scripture, laying it on me. Like, she just knew where it was. I had never seen somebody like that who could just like, flip through the book real quick and find exactly what verse she wanted to tell you about. So I think like God really showed me like in the past year of my life that my worth is not in what anyone else has to say about me. It's not if a boy has to call me cute. It's not if my coach says I did good. It's not if my friends say I'm funny. It's like, it's all on him. And if that's who God says I am, God says I'm a good person, God loves me, God loved me enough to choose me to be here, then I feel pretty dang good about myself.
I love that. So if someone's listening right now and they're dealing with something heavy like you went through, what would you want them to hear?
I think one of the most important things I needed to hear was that you're not alone. Like, you're the one who's creating that loneliness. And also that, you can be the master of your fate and the captain of your ship, but you got to realize that life comes from you and not at you. And whenever you realize that and you start working with God one-on-one, you are going to feel so much better.
That's awesome. Savannah, I really appreciate you opening up and sharing your story today. And to everyone listening, whatever you're walking through right now, it doesn't define you. There's growth in it, even if you don't see it. This has been Testimonies with Tanner. We'll see you next time.